Why, hello. Welcome to Convos for A Bubbly Life. I'm your host, Tiara, aka T, and I love to live a life that is bubbly, meaning an extraordinary life by our own design. On this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of our desires. So let's get to it. Today, I feel like I have reached a culmination of the exploration of being obsessed with myself. Excuse me one second. It feels like, what I intended to discover has been discovered. And while new things might trickle in from time to time, the big aha moments have come to a close. And I'm here to move forward and set new intentions. So this is kind of perfectly timed as today is May Day, Beltane, if you will, a great time and celebration for growth, setting intentions for prosperity and success and what we would like to see flourish moving forward in the year. Until this is a great day where if you believe in the traditions of Samhain and the moving of the year or the calendar and rhythmic living and all of that, then today is a great day to ask for support from your guides, your ancestors, as the veil is very thin. So today is a great day to set some intentions moving forward. And I start this podcast every time with saying that, we are on the journey of discovering, or we are on a journey of living the life of our desires. But a big part of it is knowing what we desire, right? So for me, my intention moving forward in this next space is defining what I desire, right? I know on a grand scale some of the things that I want to experience, but trying to get more and more specific, because I find that the more specificity I have and the more grounded in that specificity, the easier things attract in, the more I feel like I know where my path is. There is no more confusion or frustration. It is just moving forward, right? So I'm looking at my life and I'm like, well, what do I want? What do I want? The scene in The Notebook is a constant play in my head. What do you want? Ryan Gosling screaming, what do you want? I'm I don't know. I want to be happy. Okay, cool. But where do we find that happiness? Where do we find that joy, that abundance, that love? Where are all of those things? And sometimes I can't answer that for myself. And knowing now that it's okay to not be able to have the answer immediately, the answer does show up eventually when I think we are ready to receive it and hear it. And the answer will come multiple times. Sometimes we think we're ready to hear it and then we are not in that space. But I believe it'll come back around, or something new will show up for us that will bring us the same amount of joy and devotion, desire, elation, all those good words, right? That we can put ourselves within, right? So closing out the obsession cycle, I have come to realize, realize my own, a new layer of my own confidence that I didn't recognize before. I had a layer of fear around my position in certain places and spaces. I do believe it's tied to wanting to meet certain expectations of others, and tied to this sense of self-worth and value outside of myself, right? I talked about it before where I felt like I always had to bring something else to the party to be a valued guest, if you will, right? I had to do something outside of myself to be worthy of my presence. But now in finding that my presence is enough and acknowledging and recognizing and like stepping into that belief, then it has opened the door to let go of other fears, right? I noticed, so sometimes I had like a friend where I would I kind of, without asking, kind of wanted to know, like, where do I stand in our relationship? Like, am I as close as I think we are? Are we like, where in the hierarchy of humans do I rank for you? And like, am I important? I guess is all that it culminates to. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean like, okay, well, like I'm like the top 5, like in your top 5, like my space top 8 or whatever. Like, am I that cool? Like, am I valuable enough to you to be in your top 8, if you will? And I, especially when I value that person, it feels nice. I've said before that like growing up, I had a lot of close friends, but I felt like anyone that I defined as a best friend never necessarily defined me back as a best friend. Often a close friend, a really good friend, someone they would reach out to me, whenever. But like that best friend status was something I kind of craved but I was afraid to extend because I was afraid that I wouldn't get it back. Right? But in becoming obsessed with myself, it's like, dude, you should want to be my best friend. Like, you are like, not in like a narcissistic way, but like, I'm honored to be my own best friend. And I recognize what I bring to the table. So in recognizing what I bring to the table, I can see how they see my value, if you will. Like, no longer creating a false story that's devaluing myself. I know that they know I'm great. I know I can now hear when they say these great things about me. So like, there's no need for me to worry and get all anxious and fearful around where I belong. Like I would happen to notice that like maybe someone else would be talking to somebody else and I'm like, they probably would prefer to hang out with them more. Like I never really noticed that thought, like how it like was so unconscious, these kind of thoughts and these fears until I started that journey, right? And like I noticed that like prior to, maybe I'm hanging out with a friend and like I see a text message pop up on their phone screen or whatever. And you see who's like messaging and then it's like, oh, like they're planning something and I'm not invited or whatever. And it's just like, this is how I find out. Like they don't even tell me that like this is an option or whatever. And I would feel like this contracting in my system and feel like less than. And I had a experience over the past, like, since I set this intention where those things would show up again. And I recognized that I didn't have that same tension within myself, right? Like it was all okay. Like I was so solid in where I belong and my value in my life. Like, I am the queen of my own story, right? I am the queen of my journey. So I'm no longer fearful of where I stand in any specific space, right? Another instance came up, which I thought was pretty out of the world, random to me. Was like someone was saying that like they were coming into town, and normally I feel like I would feel this like great sense of like service. I don't know, like I like putting the hostess hat on and putting like on these airs and trying to ensure that they have a good time and that they feel, you know, that I provided something of substance to them. And granted, the opportunity to hang out hasn't presented itself quite yet, but like I'm not worried anymore, right? Like there has been like this fear of like wanting to be necessary, wanting to be, you know, meeting their expectations, wanting to be something greater. And yet now I know that I'm already great, right? You know, it's very freeing, you know, and as I was thinking about my intentions for, you know, today and that I wanted to set and like what magic do I want to explore and learn, I was like, what do I want? Like, I think at this point, I just want to know, what do I want? Where do I want to go? Like, someone tell me what to do, right? What is going to bring me my fulfillment? And the first word that came to mind was freedom, right? Freedom. This obsession with self has given me another sense of freedom. And I am like ready for this huge next layer of freedom, right? Freedom to do what I want when I want it. I think that's like the biggest thing. It's like, show me how to be able to do every single day exactly what I want when I want it. And that sounds sometimes like, you know, it doesn't even, before it sounded like a tall order. Now I'm like, okay, like doesn't make it, we should be able to do that, right? But then there's like the flooding of like, well, you have a full-time job. So like you have to go to work every day. You have to like earn money. You have to do these things, don't you? Maybe? I don't know. Do I? I mean, I now am like coming to a place of, well, yeah, you know, we live in a world where money really does help live in a certain way. And so in order to do that, we can bring in finances, but I don't necessarily have to have a standard job to do these things. Like I can see the opportunity to find out, attract how money can flow to me in so many other areas without having to be attached to one particular essence, being, situation, job, whatever it may be, right? So, person, all of these things, like there's so much space for flow that I'm not necessarily hearing this nagging self. Like in this current day stage, yes, like, okay, if I really, really wanted to stay in bed and not do anything for like another however many hours, I mean, I technically could have, you know, called in sick, do whatever, like use these things. But where I'm at now is like, well, I don't want to have to feel like I'm sacrificing something in order to do exactly what I want. I don't want any negative consequences, if you will. Like I want to do what I want when I want and have no judgment around it. That's the freedom, right? The freedom is letting go of the judgment, the feeling that there is something that I have to do, or something that like what I'm doing by doing what I want to do, I am in some way, shape, or form hurting something else, someone else, my future self even. You know, skipping work would then equate to maybe not having a job later on, right? Like these kind of things. So like really stepping into, okay, I am open to receiving these ideas and these things. And even the idea that like, hey, I don't even need to be as like anal retentive about a job as I have been in the past, like so stern with it. Like I can actually learn to enjoy my work, right? Like we can have that. If we are living in this world where money is how we exchange for goods, we can have the opportunity to earn money in a way that is fulfilling to ourselves. So show me that fulfillment, right? Asking the universe, asking God, source, universe, guides, ancestors, support squad, if you will. Show me my abundance of prosperity, financial security, love, romancing life, an extraordinary life. Show me my extraordinary life. Guide me down the path to this fulfillment that I crave. Help me to know and discover what is it that I truly want and feel excited to do every single day. Show me and bring to me, attract to me the influence needed, the knowledge needed to make all that I desire come to fruition. Right? Saying these things out loud, writing these things down, opening up to discovering. So at this point, I am opening up to discovering the next layer. What would make this life more extraordinary? I know I want love. I know I want financial freedom and abundance. I know I want to feel free. I know when I wake up in the morning, I want to hop out of bed and be like, I'm excited to go get my workout done. I'm excited to talk to my people. I'm excited to serve my community in whatever way that I am serving. I'm excited to go play pickleball or do whatever it is that I get to do in that day, that I've planned to do in that day. And even if it's not planned, whatever shows up for me, being excited to know that the day is going to present itself in a way that is so fulfilling. I'm discovering my fulfillment. And I invite you to share, what have you found fulfilling for yourself inside the A Bubbly Life Facebook community? I invite you to join me on the journey if you so desire. And I invite you to check me out on the next one. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Looking forward to chatting more with you and having more convos for A Bubbly Life. I love you. Bye.